As India celebrates the 75th year of its independence, Indian women have been scaling new heights in this new decade of the new millennium. India takes pride as 12.4% of all the women commercial pilots in the world are actually in India. This is double than the global average.
जहां विश्व भर में हर देश में केवल 5% पायलट्स महिलाएं हैं, वो केवल भारतवर्ष है जहां हमारे देश के पायलट्स में से 15% हमारी महिला पायलट। ये महिला सशक्तिकरण का एक बेहतरीन उदाहरण है।
According to the International Society of Women Airline Pilots, the top 5 countries with the most number of women pilots include India with 12.4%, Ireland and South Africa with 9.9%, also Canada with 7% and Germany with 6.9%. Whereas the USA, which is the largest aviation market in the world, has only 5.5% of women pilots. When looked at the airlines that measured up on gender equality in the flight deck, Air India stands at the top with 12.7% of women pilots, followed by Aer Lingus, Hawaiian Airlines, United Airlines and Lufthansa. As these numbers are very encouraging, we still have to strive with our 100% efforts to get these numbers to parity, which is at 50%. According to the Periodic Labour Force Survey by NSO, the women above the age of 25 years that at least have secondary education is 40.7%, whereas women between the age group of 15 to 64 that are part of the formal labour workforce stands at 29.8%. But women command the highest share in the aviation industry in India, as India has the most number of commercial women pilots, and for this we are joined today by Miss Captain Zoya. Right off the bat, India has the highest share of women pilots in the whole world, and you represent that as a captain, commander of B777, first aviator over the North Pole, and also the spokesperson for UN Women. So you keep on meeting several people, several juniors, seniors, colleagues of yours. How would you describe are the struggles of women in other countries versus India?
Firstly, thank you so much for having me here today. It's always a pleasure to represent the minority of women as commercial pilots, and which, like you, I hope to steer it to 50%, especially as a part of the UN system as well. We work towards it every single day. But however, it's a pleasure to inspire and be inspired on a platform like this. Every single day, whenever I meet my peers, my colleagues, there is always that issue that we speak of, gender equality. And we need to come to a point where this is no more on the table. At the UN, we envisage a world where we see an equal world by 2030. We have Sustainable Development Goals, which is a huge agenda. The SDG 5, catering to generation equality, which I'm extremely passionate about, and I'm extremely happy to represent and carry the flag all over the world. However, there's a lot of work to be done, and we all have to do it together. It's not just one organization or one part of the government or a system. We all have to come towards it to work together, because it starts right from our home. When a child is born into our home, that is when we start, making differences. When it's a boy or a girl, we have a different way of raising them. Why? We have to unify this. As when a child is born into our home, we see that as a child, not as a boy or as a girl. We need to bring them up as a child, to be able to give them dreams as a child. There are no dreams which are different. There are all dreams which can become a part of the bigger reality. Look at me as an example. I was an 8-year-old child who used to daydream or night dream looking at the stars. All I wanted to do was to touch the stars. The world that I belonged to didn't think that. I was not even allowed to dream at that point in time. Forget about actually thinking about doing something completely radical like becoming a pilot back in those days. And I was discouraged from every single point from the society. However, I, by God's grace, had the courage to follow through my dreams, to follow through my inner voice, which kept on telling me, Zoya, there is nothing which is impossible. It's always I am possible. And that is how I perceived the world. And I went on from there, which I'm extremely happy that I did, because today, seeing me in this position can inspire so many, the plethora of young girls who are watching me. If you can see me, you can be me. And I think that is the example we need to showcase to our children as well. Give them the freedom, give our girls, our children the freedom to be the future path breakers, change makers, and leaders of tomorrow. And that will only happen if we liberate our children, our girls to live the life they want to reach their full potential.
So that's a really nice journey that you have actually been on. But what would be your message on this Independence Day to women who strive to become more independent, who strive to become more self sufficient in their lives and achieve something?
So, my message to them would be independence has two aspects for me. So, the first aspect of independence is the self perceived independence, which I think is extremely important for every woman to achieve. Once you liberate yourself, truly, when you can foresee, you can reach any milestone, any heights, you can fly the flight of your dreams. That will only happen once you climb the walls which the society limits you with. You do not look at it, even if no matter whatever anybody is limiting you, you climb that wall and you come out of it. You have to understand there is nothing beyond you. You can do and realize any dream that you want in this lifetime. Nobody has the power to say no to you but you, yourself. Always remember that. And every single girl, once they start seeing this, this is the path, the start of realizing their true potential. And I think that is one part of the independence. The other part of independence is, as parents, as a society, what we can give to our girls. Like earlier, I was telling you how we have to let our girls dream. Why is it that when a girl is born, we teach her, after a certain time when she's growing up, to make tea or to do certain things? Or, so many countries that I've been to, even over there, there are certain roles which are very, very gender specific. It does not have to be like that. It's an equal world. We need to give an equal world to our children, to our future generations, so that we do not have to speak of gender equality or independence for women specifically. It should be a norm for our day-to-day living.
Yes, you're right in saying that gender equality should be a principle, a value in life, rather than something that we have to keep on talking about again and again, even after 75 years of being independent. Anyhow, now coming to the industry, and I just want to know the rise in ATF, or the aviation turbine fuel. It causes an increase in the cost of travel, but it's not only this also increases the cost of training, the cost of education for young women. So how do you think young women from modest backgrounds can get into the industry if the cost of learning is so high?
Back in the days, it was so much more difficult to get into this sector because, firstly, it was expensive. Secondly, there was no job security. There was no growth like what is happening today. Today, we are talking about a field of aviation which is growing at an unprecedented rate, where our PM Modi ji's leadership, our Ministry of Civil Aviation, Sandhya ji's brilliant leadership, we are progressing like never before. And this is what's going to create so many job opportunities, not only as a pilot, but, in various sectors of aviation. It's booming and growing like never before. Like, for example, we are talking about 100 million passengers by the end of this year. This is going to rise to 400 million passengers by the year 2030. We need pilots for this growth. And even if you consider from a perspective of more of an investment in your career, we have various agencies which are loaning money for the purpose of becoming a pilot. So even if you have ATF rising prices, which are driving up the training costs, you will eventually get a return on that. There is a high ROI in this profession. We are talking about a profession which is going to be extremely rewarding, not only monetarily. Monetary, I always think, it's one aspect. Also, as a societal role, when you are tomorrow, all the young girls who are going to be the future aviators of tomorrow are going to be sitting right here, inspiring other young girls of the future generation, and that is extremely satisfying and rewarding. So it's something which, if you want to become, there is never should be a second thought for it. You should definitely go in for it. And there are various organizations, banks, and also NGOs, which are funding partially or fully the training cost for our future budding aviators.
There are many new airlines that are coming up and many that are on the verge of their rebound. Do you
Right.
think this will increase the job opportunity, employment opportunity for pilots? And do you think their focus is also going to be on recruiting women pilots? Do you think there is some kind of bias in the industry, or we as number one are actually the best?
Okay, so firstly, it's never a woman pilot or a male pilot, it's a pilot. I'm very proud to be a pilot. I've never felt that, my airplane seats understands or knows whether it's a woman or a man flying it. It's a profession, it's a skill to which, you have to not only be at 100%, I believe, in giving your 1000% to your job, because at the end of the day, it's a very responsible job. You have a responsibility of 4,000 lives. I always say that, let's say if you fly 350 to 400 people, there are 10 more lives associated with them. So it's always, you have such a high responsibility of carrying, 4,000 lives on your shoulders. So whether you are a boy or a girl, a male or a female, it does not matter. You have to rise to the occasion, to the skill, to whichever situation that you are facing in this profession, 1000%, because you are always entrusted with that kind of responsibility. And to add to that, you're entrusted with a jet which costs $375 million. So it's a huge responsibility where I don't think we should look at a boy or a girl or a male or a female. It's a great job. It's as a pilot, yes, it is responsible. Yes, it is, there are a lot of eyes on you when you're flying in the air. However, it's a very, very rewarding job. And like you're talking about, the airlines which are on the verge of a rebound, new airlines coming up, and so many airlines on the verge of massive expansion. We have huge, unprecedented increase in the demand of pilots and all the other aviation professionals today. For all of you who are watching this today, our demand is going to be 1,000 to 1,200 pilots per year. Currently, it's only 600 to 700 what is being churned out. So almost doubling. For that, we need more people to enter this profession. And when you're talking about increase in the pilot requirement, you're also talking about increase in every other sector of aviation personnel. So every single person who is watching this today, aviation is the sector which is growing. Please do not kill your dreams. If you want to enter aviation, this is the time. This is the best time to enter. So go make your dreams come true in this beautiful aviation dream and turn them into reality.
Okay, as Captain Zoya said, no career or no profession is gender specific, and all men and women can equally participate in any profession. However, that brings us to this very prudent question of how women face general sexism in country even while driving cars on the road. But how have you entrusted them? How have you entrusted the trust of Indians back when it comes to flying a plane? So, can you explain our viewers?
I have never considered myself as a boy or a girl. Like I said earlier, I've always made sure, ever since I was amongst one of the first few handful of women pilots in my airline, and I take extreme pride in being the part of the national carrier, our flag carrier, Air India, and I have always felt that it's been an equal opportunity employer. It's never deprived any opportunity from women, and it's actually empowered women in every single way. And so it's something that to be proud of as an employee. And from the very beginning, I was never doubted, like, ridiculed, like how we ridicule the women drivers or whatever. I was always encouraged as a young girl to come up my own way. And in the similar breath, I never felt that if I was a girl, I should take advantage of any of the factors and use that. I've always thought of myself, and proudly so, as a pilot, not as a boy or as a girl. And I've worked extremely hard, just like my male counterparts, to be where I am. And all of us are equally talented, and we are from diverse backgrounds. However, there is one thing unifying all of us pilots or professionals in aviation, which is the skill. We are all skilled, and we all take our jobs responsibly as an aviation trained professionals, because the responsibility that we are entrusted with. And I'm extremely proud of that. And I can say that proudly on behalf of all my fellow pilots and aviation professionals.
Learning a skill is what it takes, and not actually ridiculing somebody on their gender, color, race, or any other element. So now that we have you here, ma'am, we cannot leave you without talking about your journey from Silicon Valley to Silicon Valley in India, that is Bengaluru, which is your flight from San Francisco to Bengaluru. And PM Modi has appreciated you for that, and you have that accolade with you. So we would love to know the story of your first plane from San Francisco through the North Pole to Bangalore.
I always say that, and I'm grateful. I think my heart is full of gratefulness whenever I think about this flight, because our government, the Ministry of Civil Aviation, our airline, I'm thankful to all the management and my gurus, who have trained all of us, not just me. I'm so proud to fly this flight from the Silicon Valley to the Silicon Valley, from San Francisco to Bengaluru, with 3 other Bharat Ki Betis, our India's daughters, and our female flight crew. This was a flight like no other flight. But having said that, it started off a paradigm shift in the aviation industry, which was to working towards net zero, our Prime Minister Modi ji's commitment by 2070. This flight contributes to that by reducing the carbon emissions. And it is a special flight in many, many ways, because it not only cut down 10,000 kilograms of fuel per flight, which this kind of route we are using very, very frequently now on a day-to-day basis in Air India, flying the ultra long haul non-stop routes from India to the US and back. Also, it saves 1 hour of flying time, which is valuable for our passengers, to be able to save that kind of time. Imagine if you can do that on every flight for our frequent flyers, how much of time will you save eventually? And also, it talks a great deal about the finances of the company, the number crunching. It saves so much of fuel, time. That can lead to more number of routes being added, because your aircraft utilization is that much more. So it's a win-win flight in so many ways, that I'm extremely proud of operating, being the first one to operate. And more than anything else, I think it showcased our country, which I'm extremely proud of, India, as a nation which is so progressive for women, because it broke so many records in terms of being one of the world's longest flights, being flown by women pilots, being commanded by a woman pilot. So it showcased a whole new way, a whole new era of women empowerment in India, which was carried along even long after this flight, on how the world perceives India in terms of women empowerment. And just last year, a few months back, as a matter of fact, I was speaking at the Italian Parliament, where they were showcasing this little girl from India, Bharat Ki Beti, where I was representing to showcase women empowerment. The title of the speech was I wanted to touch the stars. And that had a meaning of empowering young girls and women across Italy to be able to break out of their molds and to be able to do whatever they want in lives. And I'm so glad that a girl from India like me was chosen to do that. So that is the power this flight had over the whole display of women empowerment of India all across the world, and I'm so happy that happened.
So, ma'am, we believe that independent women are an integral part of our independent nation, and they have been in the last 75 years. So, what is your idea of independence, and how do you think you will describe an independent woman leading this independent nation in many sectors?
When you talk about independence, the whole idea of independence is freeing yourself psychologically from the shackles of our mindsets that we have probably grown up with. Whatever struggles I have had in my life growing up, I have to be independent from them to be able to progress forward, which means for me, I have to make sure whatever struggles that I have gone through, I ensure that the next future generations don't go through that. Because to be able to realize the potential of our future generation, we have to let our girls live up to the potential, where the concept of feminism comes in. Now, when people talk about feminism, it's not about a woman or a man. It's actually being liberated in every single way and to work towards equality in this world. And like I was telling you earlier, at the United Nations, as a part of our Sustainable Development Goals, we are working towards generation equality by 2030. So long all of us can work together to bring about an equal world where we don't see men and women differently, but as an ally, as a partner, working towards a better, beautiful Mother Earth. I think that is the concept and the idea and the very fundamental of independence for me.
So that is what feminism is. While some people really confuse feminism just because it has the word fem and it becomes female domination for them. But I don't know why are people even scared about that when males have dominated the world for so long. But anyway, feminism stands for equality of all the genders, of all the races, of all the sexualities.
Absolutely.
So, would you like to tell our viewers about more about feminism and how you see as feminism as a concept?
I think feminism, like you said, it's about diversity and inclusion. It's not just about one segment of the society, it's also about races, it's also about sexuality. I think it's about time we learn to accept our children as who they are, what they are, rather than enforcing them, हाँ ये तो बड़े होके शादी करेगी या करेगा या उसके बच्चे होंगे. Let them be. We are an era today where we need to give choices to our children of whatever and wherever they are. And that is the only way to kind of hold on to our own, kind of generations which are growing up in order to be able to really truly empower them into making decisions for themselves. I think that is what feminism is all about, letting everyone be, whether it's culture, sexes, sexuality, genders, everything is for everyone today. And that is what the idea of feminism for me is, generation equality.
Okay. So, ma'am, your final word of wisdom for all the girls who are watching you out there and are really looking up to whatever you're saying right now.
Okay, so this one share which is very close to my heart, I think it's truly empowering, is भारत की बेटियां नहीं कम किसी से, तूफान या आंधी नहीं डर किसी से, आसमां में लिखा है एक संदेशा, भारत की जय हो, विजय हो हमेशा, नमस्कार, जय हिंद.
As the white pigeon takes flight on the 75th year of independence, it symbolizes peace, freedom, and holiness. So has been the trajectory of Indian women that have broken all the bondages and stereotypes of sexism and reached enormous places in their lives. So it was really great having you, Captain Zoya, with us. Thanks a lot for the interview.
Thank you so much for having me here and to be able to inspire and be inspired.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.